Another way that you can make corrections to your image is under the detail tab here. So there's three main categories here. One is the sharpening at the top here, and then there's the noise reduction, which has two categories, the luminance and color. So to start with, let's reset everything here to 0, so there's no corrections on anything. And at a high level, right, this may not have seemed to change too much in our image, but if we zoom in, we probably can see more grain in the sky. So if we reduce the color noise here, or increase the color noise reduction, you'll see that the sky becomes cleaner and cleaner, right? If we go all the way, it has less and less of an effect, and in some parts of the image, it will have a negative effect. So the general rule for the color noise reduction is you should keep it at 25 or below. And then also the luminance noise, right? This will correct any noise that's graininess that's in your image, right? This helps especially when you shoot with like high ISO in dark conditions. It can really help clean up the details of your image. Obviously here, right, we probably don't have too much like luminance noise. You can see in the sky here, it makes a slight difference when we add it. But at some point, right, with any of these tools, right, it starts making the image look really fake. So if we start out with this, there's some grain there. And as we increase the lumens to 100%, like it looks almost plasticky, right? It doesn't even look like a real scene anymore. So with luminance reduction, I would say generally the rule I use is to keep it around 15 or lower. And if you go higher, it would create some levels of unrealism, maybe you want to say, in the image. So for the detail, contrast, and the smoothness, right, obviously you can play with these sliders for the most part. I think it's probably better to keep them at the default settings and go with that. Well, then we can quickly talk about sharpening, and then we'll go to the AI noise reduction, which is also kind of a cool feature. So we have this sharpening tool, which is pretty much just another way to add contrast to specific parts of your image. So if we just create a little bit of sharpening just to give us an idea of what will happen here, right? Like it will clean up the areas of our image to an extent, and then it will start to degrade the image. So if you see, we go all the way to the highest sharpening amount, the sky doesn't even look real. If we scroll over to the white areas, the snow, there's probably weird issues there. So obviously the extremes are not good like usual. So, but within a reasonable amount, probably 30 to 40 in sharpening, you can get reasonable results. You can change the details. So if you want to add sharpening to more details, make this higher. If you want add sharpening to less of the details of the image, make it a lower option. So probably somewhere here is better. And then the other thing you can do is you can adjust the radius, the amount of pixels that would be used for sharpening, right? So if I identify a group of pixels that are off, and then I want to sharpen it, it'll pick maybe if it's 5, it'll pick 10 or 15 or whatever, depending on the the factor here that's being given as a radius. And so with masking, we can also affect which parts of the image. So it will selectively mask the image and only add like sharpening to specific parts of it that I think are the best. So if we add more masking, that does seem to have a better effect on the sky. I'm not sure what that does to the rest of the image. And it does seem to mask out some of the foreground here, so it loses some of the sharpening, which may or may not be beneficial. So if we want to see what's being masked, we can just hold the Option key on Mac or Alternate key. So with this, there's no masking at all. And as we do this, the dark areas of the image will be masked and no sharpening will be done to them. All right, so if we see that the sky is having a good at needing masking, right? We don't want to mask, right? So if we are holding this out, the masking is covering a lot of the sky, and sharpening will not be applied. To be clear, sharpening only applies where the white area is, because the black area is a part that is masked out. That's how luminance mask works. We'll go in more detail on that in the the detail adjustments and masking section of this. So you can also do this for the details here. You can see exactly what's being affected if you hold the option or the alternate key down while like sliding and moving these sliders. So obviously, if we want more details, right, it's sharpening the details in the sky, which really seems undesirable because the sky is supposed to be a smooth single color. So right, probably not sharpening the details there would be good. And then the bigger the radius, right, or the smaller the radius, right, you would expect things to become a little bit smoother. So yeah, so basically this is the sharpening tool. So yeah, there's one other thing here, right? So there's this window here. This is basically a preview of your sharpening. I just find it's useful just to zoom directly into the image where you can see the same thing as you move the sliders in real time, and it's just easier to navigate than having a little tiny window on the side here in the detail section. So if you don't like that, you can even hide it. And yeah, so if you, let's do a little bit here. So something like this might be reasonable and might get you relatively reasonable results. So now there's another option for the noise reduction. So this manual noise reduction that we were just playing with was giving us some results, but maybe we can do better than that, at least in some images. So one option we have is to go to this denoise button here. So this basically uses an AI to analyze the image and determine what's noise. And so if we in some images, right, this will do really well. In other images, this might not do well at all. So if we go here, we can click, and we can see this is like without any noise reduction at all. If we unclick, right, it shows us the enhanced version, right? So you can see that it's doing significant improvements to the sky. So this is amount 38. We can go all the way up to 100%, if you want to call it percentage. And look, the sky looks really smooth, but like with the luminance noise reduction, if we get too extreme, right, the details in the image start to look plasticky and they look fake. So you definitely don't want to go to 100, but some images you can get away with 25, some 35, some 40 or 50, right, depending on your tolerance for it looking fake. So let's try 45, and then if we create a stack here, it will build another copy of the image so that we have not eliminated our original version. So let's wait here. It's going to take like 20 seconds or something. And while we're waiting, yeah, we can. So what? I guess we can mention one thing here with the manual noise reduction. As soon as you do the AI noise reduction, right, these settings will be set to the disabled, right, because the AI is taking care of both the luminance and the color noise. And so it's a pretty cool tool that can be used to replace like tools like Topaz, which was it's a third-party software that can also do denoise of your image. And you can see here that it completed. So if we zoom in, it probably did a pretty reasonable job here. Yeah, it looks like there's still some weird color noise in here, and you can see that like these rocks are we're kind of zoomed in, that we might have gone a little bit far. Some of the stuff is starting to look plasticky, and it takes away the edging and the grain of the image. So some people really don't like to use sharpening at all. They think it really messes up your image. You should just leave or the sharpening and the denoise. You should just leave it grainy, and that's a more natural look and feel. So really this comes down to personal preference. For me, in most of my images, I'll apply some level of the noise reduction and especially the color denoise, right? That one is the one that's really critical in my opinion. It can really clean up your images, especially when I'm shooting astrophotography and really high ISOs. The color denoise is like super critical. So yeah, so that's basically how this works. If we come down to the menu here, you can see that there's now three versions of this image. There's the enhanced denoise one, that's the AI one. There's the one where we were manually playing with the settings here. And then there's the monochrome one that we did earlier in the discussion of monochrome. So like now there's three copies of the same image that are virtually existing here. And so we'll continue editing on this one, I believe, is pretty reasonable results. This is the manual noise reduction. I think things look pretty natural. We're not getting any weird artifacts in these rocks that we were getting with the AI denoise. I'm sure with the AI denoise, we could just reduce the effect a little bit, and then these rocks will continue to look more natural. But for now, let's just continue with this one.